Hello, you are listening to OmniTalk's Retail Fast 5, brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, SPS Commerce, and Sezzle. Right, yes, that is right, Chris. Bed Bath's website is back and better than ever. According to NBC,
yeah, you think so? All right.
Oh, yeah. According to NBC News, the new site launched under its new owner and what was formerly known as Overstock.com. Overstock CEO Jonathan Johnson, there's a name for you, said that customers visiting the new website would see up to $50 of loyalty reward points reinstated from former Bed Bath & Beyond customer accounts and a number of other perks like 20% off, along with all the current rewards for members of Club O, which was Overstock's former loyalty program. You also, Chris, don't you worry about a thing. Those coupons, the 25%, yes, 25% off initial purchases for anyone who downloads the new Bed Bath & Beyond mobile app. When asked why Overstock adopted the Bed Bath & Beyond name, that's Jonathan Johnson, if you were paying attention, Jonathan Johnson said, quote, "People view Overstock as liquidation, which is what we were 25 years ago when we started. But that's not what we've been for the past 2 decades," end quote. Chris, are you buying what Jonathan Johnson is putting out and selling?
Fair play to you for the Jonathan Johnson jokes. Like, I didn't even think about that as I was reading and boning up for this headline. I love that. Jonathan Johnson. Yeah.
Jonathan Johnson.
Shout out to you.
Also a former 90s kid TV star, right?
I have no...
I'm thinking of Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Yes. That would be impressive if Jonathan Taylor Thomas was now running Overstock. Yeah, but Ed, I mean, I love this. I actually put this in the freaking love this category, which I know I say a lot on the show, but this falls in that category. Because I can't believe how fast they've converted the whole site. I mean, for sure. Overstock purchased these assets in June.
Yeah.
That's stuff done. That's freaking amazing. But when you think about it, there's a reason they could do it that fast, because the strategy behind this, as we talked about when they acquired the assets in June, is really straightforward and simple.
Right.
It's basically a reskin with new creative placements and brand name changes on the Overstock site, along with what I think is cool, a site redirect from Overstock to Bed Bath & Beyond. That's how I found it. I was like, I don't want to type in Bed Bath & Beyond. I typed in Overstock.com and look what appeared. That was super cool. So, for me, so essentially what you're talking about here, when you get right down to it, is Overstock invested $21 million for better search, a better brand, and an existing customer file too, which also is an important part of this announcement. Yes. That came over, hence, the discussion points you had about the loyalty. So for me, when I look at that and all they got for that, this is a total steal. It's also probably a pittance, and it's a one-time charge to their overall search budget. So great move, Yeah. And the best thing too, and last point I make, the site looks exactly as I would expect it to. Mm-hmm. It's just Overstock setup, and they get e-commerce as well as anybody. That's how they've hung around for so long with a terrible name, like Jonathan alluded to.
Right.
And it just says Bed Bath & Beyond's branding. So such a smart move by these guys, I think.
Yeah, steal of a deal. I mean, that really $21 million is, it was appropriately priced, I think, given everything that's happened there in the last year, especially. But I mean, even for them to take and turn this around, like you said, so quickly, we've both been part of website relaunches. 3 months to get this thing up and going was really well done. I think the search is so much better than Overstock was. The whole site experience is just has leveled up compared to what Overstock used to be. The only question, though, that, Chris, I'm curious, because you have rich home furnishings history. The only question I have is is this enough to stay viable? I think you're still yes, Bed Bath & Beyond is a top 5 brand in this category for today's consumer focus groups. But do you think that this swap is enough to hold them? And if so, what more needs to be done there? Because that's the only thing that I worry about is you've got it popping off right now, but can you hold the next generation audience?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, that's still to be determined, right? I think that's still the tough question. I mean, the good thing about Overstock is they've been around for 20 years, so they know how to exist as an e-commerce retailer, which you can count on your 2 hands the number of people that are able to do that. So fair. But now I think this positions them more. I was thinking about that last night. It positions them more squarely to go head to head with Wayfair, which is really the category leader in that space. And it does it more overtly than it did before. And now when people are doing bed and bath searches, they should capture more of that volume in theory. So that's the play here. But, running an e-commerce business is hard. It takes a lot of smart people to make it work. And without stores, it, can be kind of difficult too, for all the reasons we talked about on the show before, in terms of, helping to ameliorate some of those cost pressures that come with e-commerce. So I think the jury's out on that, but net for that reason, it's a small move. The other point I make too, and when you think about $21 million, didn't the executive team pay themselves like factors above that in the 2 years that they were running the show?
I think like that got paid like over 30 million.
That's the number that was in my head too, like $30 million. That's just nuts that you pay the guy for 2 years for more than the assets are worth to this other company.
Unreal.
That's effing mind-boggling, man. Like, yes. I never thought about that until just now.
Yeah.
All right.